Okay, before we look at the quadratic or the nonlinear inequalities, we need to understand, or you need to understand, that if I have, for instance, 2x plus 4 is equal to, let's say, 6, how will I solve that equation? Take me through the steps quickly.
If you want to work out, if you want to solve for x.
That's correct, yeah.
Well, I'll take 4 over.
Okay, so it will go that side and become a minus.
Yeah.
Alright, so you'll have 2x is equal to 2, and then?
To divide through by 2 to get x by itself.
Okay, which is then equal to 1.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's say, for instance, that wasn't an equal sign, but a smaller than sign. You would have had exactly the same thing right through. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay, it would have been done exactly as if it was an equal sign. However, if you had a minus there and a minus there, you would have had to divide by minus 2 and not by...
And then you have to, and then you change the sign. The sign turns around.
That's correct. Then it changes around. Now that is called a linear inequality because the exponent of x right through have been 1.
Okay.
Alright, that's a linear inequality. But that's how you solve linear inequalities. But then, if you have, for instance, the following: x squared plus 3x minus 4 equal to 0. How would you solve for x now?
I'd factorize.
Okay, so let's factorize.
Okay, you'd say, you'd have x and x. And then, I'm stalling here. 4 and 1, yeah. And then you'd have...
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you'll have x is equal to minus 4, or x is equal to 1. But if that was smaller than, you unfortunately cannot do that. Alright, because it's a quadratic equation or a quadratic inequality. Now you can't take it as if it was an equal sign.
Okay.
Alright, now you need a specialized technique to solve for x. Alright, now the technique will still require of you to get to that stage there. Alright, you still need to get there where you've got the x is equal to minus 4 and x is equal to 1. But that is not your solution. That's still part of the solution, or part of the process. Alright, did you get that distinction?
Yeah.
You still take it as if it was an equal sign, but that is not the answer. It's part of the process to get to the final answer. Alright, so let me just rewrite it. We had x squared plus 3x minus 4 smaller than 0, and then we solved for x and we got x is equal to minus 4, where x is equal to 1, correct?
Yeah.
Alright, now what you do, because you have two answers for x, now this is the same, what I'm going to explain to you now is the same process every single time, it's just the values that will change. Alright, so listen carefully. I've got two values there, which means I will draw two vertical columns like that. That's the first step. Then I'm going to draw a line there, and I'm going to draw a line there. And then I'm going to put the smallest of those two x values first. So it goes there, minus 4 and then the 1.
Okay.
Then I'm going to put smaller than, smaller than, smaller than, and smaller than signs in, and I'm going to put in x, x, and x. Okay. You're still happy up to that stage?
Yeah, it is just one quick question. The smaller than sign, if it becomes a greater than sign...
No. Good question. It stays smaller than all the time, because what you actually have on that top row is like a number line from smallest to biggest. Okay, so it doesn't matter what the original sign was. The top row of that table always resembles a number line.
Okay.
Alright. Then you'll remember we had the original brackets was x plus 4 and x minus 1.
Yep.
And that's what you're going to write there. x plus 4 and x minus 1. And then at the bottom row, right at the bottom left, you're going to write them as it was there. In other words, the two brackets were multiplied, and that's what you're going to write there. Brackets are being multiplied. If the two brackets were divided, you'll have a division there. Okay, you'll never have a plus or a minus. You'll either have multiplication or division or both. You might have three brackets, 2 multiplied on top divided by 1 below. Then you would have had 3 values there for x, and you'd have 3 columns.
Columns, yeah.
Alright, but other than that, the process will still stay the same, no matter how many brackets you have.
Okay.
Alright, you happy?
Yep.
Now, from here on it's very easy. Choose a value smaller than minus 4 for me.
Minus 5.
Okay. Feed minus 5 in there. What is the answer?
That's going to come out to -1.
Okay. All you're interested in is the sign.
Okay.
Feed the
So
minus
it's a
5.
negative.
Yes. Feed the minus 5 in there.
You get -6.
Okay. Again, only interested in the sign.
Yeah.
Now, those two signs resemble those two brackets there.
Okay.
They are being multiplied, which means I'm going to get a plus.
Okay, I see. Oh, yes. Okay, I see.
Okay. Then you choose something between 1 and minus 4.
-2.
Well, choose 0. It's easier.
0.
Alright. Then you're going to get a plus there, and a minus there, and a minus there. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Alright. And then choose something bigger than 1.
2.
Okay. Plus, plus, plus. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Alright. Are you seeing the pattern yet? Or not quite yet?
Yeah, no, I can see the pattern, yeah.
Okay, because what I need for you to see is, remember originally the question asked for smaller than 0.
Yeah.
Which means we're looking for the minuses.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Which means that is our answer. So the answer to that equation or that inequality is x smaller than 1, bigger than minus 4. And that's it.
Alright, I see.
Okay, so
It's easy.
two things you just need to know. You will probably ask them or now or later on, so I'm going to anticipate the question and answer them for you so long. If that was a bigger than sign, you would have gone for the pluses. In other words, your answer would have been x smaller than minus 4, or, very important, or x bigger than 1. That would have been your answer had it been bigger than 0.
Okay, I see.
Alright, you happy?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's smaller than 0 in the original expression, you'd go for the minuses in the bottom row, and if it was bigger than 0, you have to go for the pluses in the bottom row. And you simply read it from the top. You read it from the top row, whatever your answers are to the question. Okay.
Yeah. Wow,
the other question that I'm anticipating you're going to want to ask is, what happens if I had, for instance, smaller and equal, or bigger and equal? Now the quick answer to that is, where for instance we chose a value there smaller than minus 4, what you would do if you had a smaller and equal sign, you would also, not only but also choose the minus 4 as well as the 1. So you're going to put the minus 4 into x, and you're going to get a 0 there, and you're going to get a minus there, but 0 times by minus remains 0 anyway, and the 1 would give you a plus there and a 0 there, but plus times by 0 is 0 anyway, which means you could include, now look carefully at that question there, what I'm going to do there. You could then also include the minus 4 as well as the 1. Okay, that's all that would happen if you had a smaller and equal, or bigger and equal.
Equal.